If you think British food is overrated, then subscribe right now because we have something in common. If you brag about having beans for breakfast, what does that say about your nation's palate? All right. The Broncos and Jags are going to be in London this Sunday. We will be doing a watch party here at the channel. I got enough me's from our previous video to get the green light from my bosses here at Chat Sports. So if you do not have ESPN Plus and you want to find a way to be a part of the game and watch the game, join us Sunday morning, Kegs and Eggs, 7:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Central, right here on the channel. And for all of our British friends that I offended today, I'm not going to apologize, 1776, but please stay tuned for the end of the video. I have a little surprise for you guys at the end of today's show. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, going over the latest on Russell Wilson. As reports are, he is trending towards playing this Sunday against Jacksonville. Plus, is Nathaniel Hackett on his last strike? It sure seems that way. And we got some Bradley Chubb trade buzz to get to as the Broncos are fielding calls. According to Jordan Schultz, who reports on this, multiple teams are calling Denver on Pro Bowler Bradley Chubb, sources tell The Score. Key factor, significant compensation for Broncos, but also Chubb and his agent maintain control. Whomever trades, I love how he says whomever correctly. I have no idea when to use whomever. Whomever trades for him is only going to do so knowing he'll agree to a long-term extension. We've talked about Bradley Chubb trade rumors pretty much every day this week, but that's what happens when the trade deadline is the next week. So I have updated my Bradley Chubb trade destinations. Some tweaks here. So I still have the Eagles and the Rams towards the top of my list. I think that one makes a lot of sense. Also watch for the Miami Dolphins as they are a team looking to make a postseason push. You can never have enough edge rushers. And we've seen that under this regime in Miami, they went out and got a stud like Tyreek Hill. They're not afraid to go Rams mode and say F them picks. The Dallas Cowboys, another team to watch for as well. I've heard they could be interested in making a trade this trade deadline because Jerry Jones said last week, we don't plan on making any trades. And then he made a trade yesterday for a Raiders defensive tackle, Jonathan Hankins. So that tells me, Jerry, you're either losing your mind, which you definitely are, or you're just lying. A little bit of dementia. Jerry, he probably has no idea who they're playing this week. Arizona Cardinals, also a team to watch for. They just kind of stink at drafting defensive players. So if they were going to use their first-round pick on a defensive end, outside linebacker anyway, why not trade for one that's much more proven since the draft can be a crapshoot? All right, we are having this discussion here at Chat Sports in the office, and I want to open it up to you guys. Would you trade Bradley Chubb for a first-round pick? Granted, if it went to one of those 5 teams we just talked about, it'll be a first-rounder, most likely between 20 and 32. But when you're not scheduled to pick in round 3, that's not the worst thing in the world here. Now, I am for trading Bradley Chubb for a first-rounder, like I am for trading Jerry Jeudy for a second-rounder. And if it's not going to be that, then it's a different conversation. Because I have a 3-step plan for the Broncos to get back on track after this year. Because this year, they're not making the playoffs. Let's just be frankly honest here. So if you get a first or a second-rounder, whether it's Chubb or Jeudy, you go out and hire an actual head coach, maybe Dan Quinn this time, and somehow that coach resurrects Russell Wilson, that's a much more competent team going into next season, where you use that first-round pick, hopefully on an offensive lineman, and shore up the front 5. You've got a great defense. That's not changing. The only things that need to be changed is head coach, offensive line, and making Russell Wilson look like Russell Wilson. And if you can bring in a coach like Dan Quinn or like a Kevin O'Connell who the Broncos passed on, you could get back to where you thought you would be this year, which was a competitive team in the AFC. All right, speaking of Russell Wilson, let's talk about good old number 3 here, as Mike Kliss is across the pond, along with a lot of other big J's from Denver, and tweeting out that all signs point to Russell Wilson playing Sunday versus Jacksonville. Looked much better in practice, upbeat in comments on how he feels, even went through hours of high knee stretches on long plane ride trip to get ready. Hackett sounds like Russ will play. Doug Peterson expecting Russell Wilson to play. My God, it never ends with Russ. I know he's super good, but if he wasn't really good at, what would he be doing right now? Here's what I'm talking about. Zach Stevens tweeting out, this tweet's pretty much gone viral at this point. Russell Wilson worked out and stretched for 4 of the 8 hours on the flight from Denver to London. Said he was doing high knees in the aisle when the rest of the guys were asleep. If this is not a quarterback, just think about if you were on a plane for 8 hours and someone did high knees down the aisle. Tell me you would not want the plane to crash before you landed just to get yourself done with that situation. I guess a part of me is awesome to see Russ doing everything he can for his teammates to get that rehab done and get on the field as soon as possible. But the other part of me is, does doing high knees on a plane for a couple hours really increase your chances of playing on Sunday? Or is this just Russ wanting to get in the headlines showing everyone, see, I'm the number 1 team guy. I do high knees. Look at me. I'm just losing a lot for Russ right now. It's tough to watch this. This is a car crash you just don't want to look away from. Now, speaking of Jacksonville, though, want to throw some numbers your guys' way here. The Jags' defense this year against opposing quarterbacks, allowing 63.6% of passes to be completed, 238 yards per game, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Middle of the pack, right? The Jags defense, I know they're 2-5. They've got some good playmakers over there on that side of the ball. The other Josh Allen, they've got some other guys they are very high on. They are sitting right in the middle in terms of a defense against the pass rush in 2022. All right. What's funny is, and this is kind of my take on this, I want to share with you guys. And maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Is it just me? Or does no one really seem to care that much if Russell Wilson returns? I mean, how often is it that a starting quarterback gets hurt and is close to returning the next week, and no one seems to be jumping up and down out of joy, right? One of the best things in sports is when your starting quarterback comes back because it feels like everything is going to be okay. Am I the only one who has the sense of, if Russ doesn't play, it's okay. We got Brett Rippon, and it's not going to be terribly different, right? I don't think anyone was having a meltdown when Russ didn't play last week. Yeah, the offense scored less without him technically. They scored 9 points. They usually average 15, 11 at home, but it's not like the offense took a huge step back. So there's that going for us right there. All right, Nathaniel Hackett. Let's get to the man of the year so far, because ESPN says Hackett is out with a loss against the Jags. Well, sort of. This has been very similar to what we've seen across the board this week. That ownership, they are grumps, okay? Dan Graziano from ESPN writing this about Nathaniel Hackett. Things are already feeling sticky in Denver for first-year head coach Hackett. There's even chatter in some league circles that his job could be on the line with this Sunday's game against the Jaguars in London. I'm not sure I fully buy that Sunday's a make-or-break game for Hackett, because it would be absolutely bizarre for a non-Urban Meyer head coach to be fired at the midway point of his first season. I agree with that, but here's what's different about Urban and Hackett. It's that Hackett is a first-year head coach with brand new ownership that just spent almost $5 billion to buy this team. And they might just take the power away from George Payton and make a decision themselves and say, we did not buy this team, and sign off on a $250 million check for Russell Wilson to be 2-6 and losing to the Jags in London. Absolutely not. Enough to this clown show. We're putting an end to it. Hackett's done. Promote Evero or whoever you want, Peyton, but this ends now. That's how I could see this being different than how Urban Meyer was done in Jacksonville in the middle of early December pretty much. So I'll let you guys weigh in here. Should Hackett be fired if the Broncos lose this Sunday against the Jags? Y for yes or N for no? Now, Andrew Mason had a really interesting tweet I thought you guys should see. If the Broncos moved on from Hackett at the bye, it would be the quickest dismissal of an NFL coach in 44 years. George Allen got fired by the Rams 2 games into the 1978 preseason. I should have done some background research. I'm not sure what George Allen did to get fired that quickly, but it would be something if the Broncos moved on before we even hit double digits in the calendar of NFL weeks here. All right, Eric Goodman, who covers the Broncos as well, tweeting out, asked Bam Bam Davis, Todd Davis, on the show if the Broncos should fire Nathaniel Hackett if the offense continue poorly on Sunday versus Jacksonville. Davis's response, yes, I think they should. It would be interesting to see. Like, imagine if the Broncos win 10-9 off of just field goals. Well, I guess you really couldn't get 10 on field goals. How could you get 10? 2 field goals and 2 safety. Imagine they won 11-9 or something like that. You see what I'm saying? If they don't score a touchdown to win, that's what I want to say, really. If they don't score a touchdown and still win because the Jags are just more incompetent, 9-7. Thank you, Jeremy. Maybe then it's like, yeah, you won, but now we have 8 touchdowns in 7 weeks or 7 touchdowns in 8 weeks. I mean, listen, at the end of the day here, we are beating a dead horse in that Hackett is not going to be the coach for much longer. I don't know if it's a midseason fire or an end-of-the-season fire, but it is clear, barring him winning out, it's just a matter of when. It is clear that he is in over his head. I don't want to go on much longer because at this point, I just feel like Pete is going to come in here for animal cruelty because we are being that mean to this poor guy, where it is clear and obvious it was a complete misfire of a happen. It happens in the NFL. Unfortunately, now for the Broncos, it feels like it's happened twice in the last decade with Vance Joseph, who wasn't that, compared to Hackett, as big of a train wreck, at least on offense. But still, this is clearly a just ultimate misfire, and they need to regroup and start over. And hey, Jeremy Beadling in my ear, bring back Clint Kubiak, or the older Kubiak, Clint Kubiak is on the Broncos staff. So maybe promote Clint Kubiak to be the interim head coach. I've seen that tossed out there. Not a crazy idea. Yeah, bring Gary back, father-son. They could be on the sideline together. How do you like that? I like them apples. All right, coming up next, the Broncos have some new uniforms. Sort of. They're doing something we've never seen before in the uniform combination, but they're not brand new uniforms. So we're going to check those out in just a moment. But speaking of new gear, how about you get yourself this awesome Denver Broncos hoodie? When you go to chatsports.com/Broncos hoodie, you're going to find out that Fanatics has an awesome deal on sale right now for Broncos country. So click on that link. It's in the comments and the description of today's show. And if you want, beat the holiday shopping right now by getting this awesome hoodie right now at chatsports.com/Broncos hoodie. All right, let me move out of the way a little bit here because these are the new uniform combination for this Sunday against the Jags. For the first time ever, the Broncos will not wear white on white, meaning white tops, white bottoms. No, they're going to have white uniforms and they're blue bottoms. So we've never seen that before since, I think, 1997, 98, whenever they made the switch to these jerseys. They've never done this combination before. So, boom, big brain activity here. Now, Damani Leach, the team's new president, was asked about the combination, and Zach Stevens tweeting out saying, he said he met with the team captains a few weeks ago, and they pointed out this combo. It's important to remember, even as fans or media or whatever, at the end of the day, they are the players. And I really don't have an issue. If the players want to wear something, it's their team. Like, they're the ones playing in the uniforms. I think we should not forget that. They are the actual players on the field, the ones wearing the uniforms and the jerseys. If they want to wear it, fine. You know the old saying, if you look good, you feel good, you play good. So personally, I don't mind it. Plus, when you're 2-5, is anyone really going to put up a big argument or have a meltdown over uniforms? No. Change something because the current status quo is not working. So I've got no problem with it. If you're putting up a big stink over it, get over it. All right. Before I sign off, I've got a special request. If we have any people watching today's show that are across the pond from London, have spent some time in the UK, I am going on a trip with my girlfriend to London. I know, nice brag. At the end of February, and I'm looking for some recommendations. And so with the Broncos playing in London this week, I thought it'd be a good time to hear from all of you watching who are either from across the pond, from London, live there, whatever. So give me your best recs down below. That way, come February, I can remember to forget about all the comments you guys made and not go to the places. But hopefully, I'll remember one or two. All right. Appreciate everyone for clicking on to today's show. See you guys later with more Broncos news and rumors.